So after a big Bills win this week, I think it's only appropriate that we bring it back to last episode where, for anybody who listened, know that there was probably the most heated argument in this podcast history, which was between JP and Christian. Funny enough, not about the Sabres. It was about the Bills. And I just want to check in and see how we're doing after such a big win this week.
I just find it funny that it wasn't even about the Sabres. Like, out of this podcast is 99% Sabres talk, and the one big argument we have is over the Bills. And you started it, JP. I'm looking right at you right now.
You're the one of the blasphemous takes.
What do you mean blasphemous takes? Which part of my takes did you not like?
That Bean is a bad drafter. It's just not true.
I say he's like mid at it.
That's also not true.
I really listen. He's hit a ton of times, but like I just feel like the misses are big misses. That's all. And why? And you know what? Honestly, I'm gonna come back at myself here. Like, I'm on a Sabres podcast. We should be talking about how bad of drafting the Sabres have done over the past 10 years. Why am I worried about the Bills?
That's a good point. I don't know.
So, you know what? I'll take that.
Up.
I'll take that one on the chin.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sabre Roundtable. My name is Jonah.
I'm JP.
And I'm Christian.
And we are inching ever so close to Buffalo Sabres opening night, which, as of recording on Monday the 2nd, we are 10 days away from actual, literal Sabres hockey.
I feel like it's been 84 years. It's been so long since we've had Sabres hockey.
Well, you know, we have had some. I mean, preseason's in full swing.
A little tasting.
Little
tasting.
A little snippet.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we are, 10 days away from opening night. A lot of storylines to kind of dig into here. The Sabres have played 5 of their preseason games, so plenty of preseason storylines to talk about. More connections between the Sabres and a certain free agent in the NHL, and well, it's starting to really ramp up here. The Sabres are really about to go head in on their season.
Yeah, with possibly a first-round draft pick that is already making headlines in Zach Benson.
Yes. So I think we can get just right into the preseason, kind of quickly go over the games that have gone on so far. So the Sabres so far, they've played Washington, Boston, Toronto, Pittsburgh, and Columbus. And they've taken 3 of 5. They beat Washington in the shootout, beat Boston in regulation at home, lost to Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and then have a big comeback win against the Blue Jackets this past Saturday, down 3-0 at one point during that game. So Sabres back in the winning swing of things. Preseason kings, as always translates to the regular season 100% of the time. Always does.
Always got to believe what preseason brings you.
Every time.
Every year.
Every time.
It always works.
Yes. But if we do kind of just want to, I guess, highlight what happened in each game. So if we want to go all the way back to Washington, which was, 2 Sundays ago now, going on. Biggest game in Washington that day. Just kidding. Obviously, the Bills were playing in Washington that day as well. Peterka nabbed the goal. Krebs grabbed the goal. And the first of this storyline, Zach Benson scored that game.
Yeah.
Gave Buffalo the lead late. Washington would come back to tie it. And we head to the shootout where Peterka grabbed the shootout goal and Brandon Bureau scored just a nasty, nasty backhand top shelf goal in the shootout. So yeah, that's how the Sabres kicked their preseason off.
Mm-hmm. Criminally underrated. I feel like Brandon Bureau's forgotten about too much within this organization. I feel like he's always either kind of buried in Rochester. I mean, he made a name for himself in Rochester, but it just seems like, he gets kind of buried shallow with, the new prospects that come in every year. Like, you got your first round picks, and then it's always like, hey, I've been here for a while too. I've had a few games, and he looks really good. Like, I think him right now over Rusick for next man up.
I would agree. I think he's past him, and I think as you're going to see as I kind of continue on these quick recaps here, he's involved in pretty much every game. And I also wanted to say, like, for the Amherst last year, he went down with a season-ending injury like halfway through, and he had 51 points in 49 games. And even when the season ended, the only guy to score more points than him was Lucas Rusek, who only had 5 more points in like 30 more games. So I think that speaks to just how well Bureau was playing at some point last year, being over point per game in the AHL. When Rusek got called up late last season, that was probably going to be Brandon Bureau's call first. But you're seeing him get that opportunity this preseason. He's standing out well. The other day he was playing with Middlestead and Tuck, correct?
He's getting the chances. He was on power play 2 in the Columbus game. I believe he was playing with Cousins and I think he was with Cousins and Tuck for the Columbus game too. Yeah, he's getting the chances. So, I mean, you don't want to buy into preseason, but then again, if someone's getting chances with them, I mean, I think that says something. Rusek has pretty much been invisible out there. I think everybody kind of predicted that he was going to be the guy to take that 13th or 14th forward spot. And I don't know. At this point, I don't even think he has a chance. I think it's Bureau. I think it's Bureau. Bureau is definitely taken over him.
It's like when you say Tyrod or Tyrod. It's the same thing. Until he comes out and corrects himself, it's whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I agree with that. It'll be Bureau, Kulik, and then probably Benson.
Yeah, they're all fighting for that last spot.
Yeah,
I'd say.
And Rosine. Rosine's been very good too. So I'd say they're all battling for those limited spaces.
And Bureau, I can't say his name right. He took a shot off the face and returned a period later too. So he's fighting for that spot. He wants it
bad. Yeah.
And then he was at the game the next day. He took a picture with the team. He had a huge cut on his face. But that's a culture guy right there. Fits right in.
Yep. So before we get off the Capitals game, if going over that quick game recap, Peterka nabs a goal in regulation and he nabbed one in the shootout. He looked great in that game as well. He is so primed for a breakout, coming off that strong World Championships performance. So it's going to be fun to kind of see where that goes. So moving on, the Sabres' next game was against Boston. First game at KeyBank Center so far this year. The Sabres win that game 4-1. Skinner grabs a goal. Stillman grabs a goal. Brandon Bureau grabs a goal late in the third. And Philip Zetterquist, he nabbed an empty netter to finish it off. So there he is again, Brandon Bureau. Absolutely coming down the wing, just absolutely ripped one past the netminder. Pretty goal. And I think to kind of get back to that comparison with him and Rusek, I think Bureau definitely plays like a more, I guess, flashier style. And Rusek is, like, if Rusek makes the team, he's probably nothing more than like a fourth line kind of winger. That's just kind of his play style. Where I think Bureau, I think he's got more offensive flash to his game, and I think you've been seeing that this preseason, whether it's the shootout goal or if you go back and look at that goal against Boston. It's a flashier play than I think Rusek could pull off.
Oh yeah, and also Devin Levi, fantastic.
A perfect 19 of 19.
19 of 19, a big 1,000 in the save percentage column. And he looked really sharp. He looked extremely well balanced. He was fantastic. He was, even if there were rebounds or he didn't know where the puck was, he was always still finding a way to track it. So
yeah, I remember the one sequence where he saved the shot with the shoulder and it was up in the air and he kind of kept the shoulder up. And people were kind of pointing out how you feel like you don't see goalies do that, where they keep the shoulder up just in case it bounces down and he can kind of maybe angle it to the ground in front of him. But yeah, he looked good. Strong start to the preseason for Levi, and hopefully he can carry that momentum into the regular season.
I mean, also, did UPL play that game?
I believe it was Cooley. I think Devin Cooley. And I remember Cooley. I think Cooley actually showed some serious flashes in the third period there as well.
Yeah, he looked good.
I remember that Boston kind of brought it on strong there at the end. But yeah, Middlestead, 2 assists in that game as well. Already starting
Middlestead mode is back.
Machine.
Yep. But yeah, he looked good because he's been playing at center, and that was his first game. He looks good. Obviously picked up those 2 assists. So going back to Jeff Skinner's goal, primary assist for Zach Benson, who looked outstanding in this game. He was all over the ice. I know we put out that highlight package, 3 minutes worth of clips of Benson in this game, and he's just stripping pucks from guys. He had a breakaway. He had multiple chances in front of the net, and then on that Skinner goal, he's playing that bumper spot, which I love that they put him there. And, him and Thompson are passing the puck back and forth, and then he just flips it over to Skinner, who rips one into the back of the net. So that was the first. He looked good against Washington, but he was all over the ice versus Boston. That was kind of the first time we were kind of like, whoa, this guy is ahead of where we thought he was. It's he's playing against AHLers for the most part. Obviously, you want to keep that in mind, but he's looking very, very good against those AHLers. So strong start for him, and it would only kind of continue from there. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if it's premature to say, but it's it makes you wonder how he slipped down the board into the mid-teens. This is the type of production you see in preseason from a guy who's selected in the top 5. You want to see, obviously, Connor Bedard, and he's already living up to expectations. You're
already seeing clips of him this preseason.
But Fantilli and those guys, it's this is the type of production you want to see out of one of those guys. And not to compare them, it's way too early to do that. But still, it's out of the players drafted between 5 and 12, it's the Coyotes passed on Benson twice. And they took a guy they probably could have gotten, if honestly, they traded back for.
Both of them, honestly, yeah. Simashev and Boot. They probably could have gotten them if they wanted to even trade down. And Vancouver went with Wallinder. There was some questionable picks there. I think Benson probably tops out. If you did a quick redraft right now, he'd probably go in 6th or 7th. But he's already climbing up the rankings. You're seeing why they loved him so much. And you're going to keep seeing that throughout this preseason.
It's just all these teams scared of the size where the Sabres aren't at all. I don't know if you guys saw Granato's his interview. Someone asked him, do you want to see Benson grow some more? He's like, no, I don't want him to grow more. We like how he's playing. We like how he can use his body. I want him to get stronger, yeah, but we like him at his size. So you got to accept the player for who he is, and he's been incredible.
Yeah, I'm fully on the train of how the old school way of thinking was you want these big guys, you want 6'3", 200 on skates, like a giraffe out there, just someone who go and the word they love to use is bully a guy in the corner. But the only thing I worry about with I guess drafting a guy who's a little undersized is just injuries. It's you see guys who are, lankier. Tim Connolly back in the day had, all these concussion issues. That wasn't always a factor of his size. It could have just been bad luck. But, as long as you could, stay fit and, put some meat on your bones, you're fine.
Well, I think
you don't have to be 6'2" to play.
Well, I think what the trend you see with a lot of little guys that get drafted is, they're all burners. Matthew Savoy comes to mind. Connor Bedard comes to mind.
Cole Caulfield comes to mind.
Yes.
They have these kind of physical attributes that put them ahead of big guys. That's always the knock on the bigger guys, and how that's what makes Tage Thompson, for example, such a unicorn, because he moves like he's 5'10" or 6 foot. The bigger guys obviously don't have that speed. But the thing with Benson is he's really not a burner. He's not Savoy. He's not explosive like Savoy is. He's just you can tell his compete is just on another level.
And he's high IQ.
And he's just so smart. He's such a smart player. That's not to say he's slow. He's still a good skater. He's just not the burner that you would expect somebody at his size that's looking to make the NHL would be. And I think that's what makes him so unique. And I think you're seeing that. He had the one breakaway against Boston, but other than that, he's not, blowing past guys this preseason. He's just making smart plays that are just so much more mature than other guys his age.
Some of his forechecking, that's better than most of the players in the NHL right now. He's just smart on getting his stick in the right lanes. He knows, where to attack the defenders, and it's really impressive from a young guy. A lot of the other players, if you just think about the Sabres, not many of them are good forecheckers. and now he brings in Zach Benson, and he's making all these other guys who are vets for years now look like fools.
Yeah, his ability to create turnovers in the offensive zone is fantastic. The way he could just go and pickpocket a guy, or like, he could track the puck so well, even if he's got like 2 defenders on him and they're all, they're poke checking him. The way he could just, find how he could just, find his way out with the puck. It's something I haven't seen out of one of our young guys in a long time, since maybe a certain 2015 first round pick.
I was, you bring up the forechecking, and to jump ahead, I guess, to the Pittsburgh game here. We got a taste of Benson and Green. Well, they played together in the first game, but we got a taste of Benson and Greenway in the Pittsburgh game, and those are just two, like, that's Greenway's thing. Like, he's just such a good forechecker, and then you add Benson on top of that, and I remember there were a lot of plays that night where they're just hounding Pittsburgh for the puck. So, yeah, if we want to jump over the Pittsburgh game, first loss of the preseason, 3-1, hard-fought battle. Pittsburgh came into that game with a loaded lineup. Crosby was playing, Malkin was playing. It was Carlson's first game as a Penguin.
They were icing their whole NHL lineup.
Letang, Raquel, Russ, they were all playing. So to stay in that game for the most part, props to them. Tage Thompson scores his first goal of preseason. Just
disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. Shout out Greenway for starting that play. But yeah, Tage Thompson carries it in, starts it with one hand, and just tucks it in before the goalie can even react. So first of many, first of hopefully a 50-goal campaign upcoming. But main takeaways from this game, Benson looked dangerous once again on that line. I thought Greenway looked really active. But I think the most interesting storyline to come out of that game was Eric Comrie playing the entire game and keeping the Sabres in it for the most part. I thought he looked fantastic. I don't know how many exact saves he had in that game, but he kept them in that game. And, yeah.
Yeah, the goals that were against him, they're just, one of them, guy was wide open in the slot. Another one was a tip, right? Like, they're not, he made the saves he needed to, and he kept us in the game. So it's really encouraging for someone who was definitely on the outside looking in. UPL was probably slotted in as the guy coming into the season, but Comrie's certainly making a case for himself.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can get behind that. I got doubts about. We'll get to UPL in a minute.
Yeah, we can jump back. We can jump back to the Toronto game if we want.
So much jumping, Jonah.
I'm sorry. But if we want to go back to the Toronto game, that was the Kraft Hockeyville game that occurred a few nights before. It was kind of a different story there. UPL gets the start there, and just a few minutes into that game,
let in an absolute muffin.
Let in a goal that had some people.
I still don't know what
shaking their
happened
head.
there.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Like he had a hole in his glove. He was like, "What?" Or did it go over his blocker?
I think it was his blocker side.
No, didn't he? Honestly,
he looked around after. He was like, "What the?" Like he was like confused that. It went in.
That night UPL was UPL. Like he was fine. Like that goal was weak, but he did make some big saves.
They got outshot 41-17.
He faced a ton of shots.
14.
So I don't think UPL played bad because I still think he made a lot of saves. But it's classic UPL. He still let in 3 goals. Like it's almost guaranteed with him.
What's the goal saved above expected for him right now?
Oh, I don't even know. Preseason is
They probably don't have stats for this.
They
stuff.
do. It's just very murky. It's not very good right now. So you kind of got to go off of the I don't know what you would call it, the old ways, raw save percentage, raw goals against average. The eye test.
The eye test. That's the big one. I don't know. I feel like with each day getting closer, I feel like they might. Do you think they roll 3 goalies? Because they might do it. I really could see him doing it.
I really hope not.
I hope not.
I would
feel like
genuinely be really upset.
I feel like
whoever send either of these guys through waivers. They're not going to want to send.
Look at Tampa Bay. Is Tampa Bay gonna
Jonas Johansson?
They're gonna roll into their. He had a 42 save shutout a couple nights ago. Are you gonna roll into next season with him as your number one and have to hope that he holds the fort down for at least 8 weeks, or I guess 7 weeks while Vasilevsky's out?
He had a 42 save shutout. Okay, so do not doubt the man.
He probably had a combined 42 saves his entire Sabres career here. So,
You know what I was actually thinking, though, about UPL? If Comrie really does win the job, which I still have doubts that they'll give it to Comrie, but obviously you want to try and trade UPL if you can, but I don't know what they'll get for him. I mean, they got a third for Portillo, so who knows? Maybe they could get a decent draft pick. But, like, if you put UPL on waivers, obviously you're risking him getting taken away.
you'll probably
But then
lose
if
him
he
for
gets
nothing.
through, I mean, but it's like, okay, if you're
Then
going
you're
to
gonna have 4 goalies in the AHL.
But
You
if
got
you're-
Hauser, Cooley, Tokarski,
Tokarski
and
and
Luukkonen. How are you gonna break that up?
But if you're only going to get a 5th round pick for UPL, is that really worth it? I mean, you could
it's better
take
than nothing.
you could
Yeah.
take the chance on getting him through waivers, and then he's still in your system.
But like I said, then you have 4 goalies to deal with. You
Well-
know, Dustin Tokarski and Devin Cooley are making $800,000 each,
Well,
I agree.
one
and then
or-
you've got Hauser.
if that does happen, one or two of them is going to have to learn Cincinnati real quick. They still in Cincinnati?
No, well, they changed affiliation to Jacksonville.
Get ready to learn Jacksonville, buddy. Have fun in the sun.
I'm just saying you could take the chance if it's really not. If I mean, a 5th round pick at the end of the day, that really is basically nothing.
Isn't that what like
It's basically nothing.
well, Mackenzie Blackwood? He got traded to San Jose. That was like a 5th or 6th round pick. I mean, look, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had that strong stretch from December through January last year. Won Rookie of the Month in January, deservedly so. But we saw what happened afterwards. And look, the guy is 24 years old now. And if you look at his time spent in the AHL, and you look at, if you look at his stints in the AHL over like 4 seasons, and then you look at this past season in the NHL, which was like his first real extended look, it's nothing promising. Like if he wasn't a 2nd round goalie, I don't think we would have this big amount of loyalty to him. I mean, like I said, I get that the January stretch happened. He was stealing them games for a period there. But by the end of the season, he was losing them. I mean, how many times did they get taken out of a game in like the first period?
Because he just let in.
I mean, the Toronto game at home comes
Yeah.
to mind. The Boston game at home comes to mind. And he was losing this team games by the end of the season. I mean, that stretch in January, I think he finished the month with like 9 goals saved above expected. He finished the season with like -11. It was a collapse.
When, UPL has not proved in any way that he could be a reliable backup. Comrie has. He's proved in the past that he could be a reliable backup. And really at this point, that's what we need. Like, Levi is once again showing that it's his spot and that he's probably going to play 50 of the games. And it's certainly, at least that's how it's trending with how, Adams is treating it, Granado's treating it. Like, we need a backup. We don't need a 1B. If you really wanted a 1B, sure, maybe you take the chance on UPL. But if you need a reliable backup, I think Comrie's the guy.
Well, let's not. I know everyone's really quick to enshrine Levi as the number 1 goalie, and during the preseason, it looks as though he's going to be the number 1 goalie, and he should be the number 1 goalie. But he's a rookie. He's 20 years old, 21 years old. He's going to have growing pains. This team needs a backup that could step in and win you games, not come in for 15, 20 games a year like your Brian Elliott backing up Vasilevsky and, just manage games against bad teams. Like, if Levi really has, issues, and honestly, the chances of him having, tough stretches of games are high because he hasn't had a lot of NHL experience at the moment. You need a guy who's going to come in and not miss a beat, because when it comes to the East, it's still loaded. Like, you can't lose games. You can't go on an 8-game losing streak like you did at the beginning of last year. You're shooting yourself in the foot right off the bat. So, I mean, I could see them starting with 3 goalies, and then, once a couple of them get a few games, maybe you send one down, maybe you trade one. But I don't know.
Comrie is the backup for the Jets and played 19 games, and he had a .920 save percentage, and he won 10 of his games, or he started 16 games, won 10 of them.
Right, so you have to keep his sample size low, but you know that he was playing behind Connor Hellebuck. That guy is he is him. He's Mr. USA for goaltending right now. Like, that's a guy who's going to play 62, 63 games a year. Do we really think Devin Levi's going to get that workload in year one?
I think they want him to.
If they want him to, I mean, I would love to see him try and get that type of workload. But, like, at the end of the day, I mean, it'd be such a unicorn. It would be like a Tage Thompson type thing, like him stepping in and immediately being the guy at that young of an age. I mean, it'd be amazing, and it's really cool to think about. But I really think like the backup on this team is gonna get 35 games.
I don't know. I just like if we go into the year with UPL and we lose Comrie to waivers or whatever. I mean, then if UPL, like most of us kind of expect, and he doesn't really pan out, then we are screwed.
That's why I'm
for the
saying
second goalie.
That's why I'm
At
saying
least
we
if
carry
we have
3 for the
Comrie, we
beginning.
know he could be average. He could be consistent. I mean, even last year, he was pretty good for us last year, especially in the beginning of the year and then down the stretch. He was injured. After his injury, he wasn't that good, but towards the end of the year, he was good. It's just, I don't know. I still do believe that UPL is going to be their second goalie, but I think it'll be criminal if it's not Comrie.
Friedman was wondering about UPL's future on 32 Thoughts. I don't know if you saw that, but I mean that came after Comrie's strong preseason performance. Look, Comrie's playing his way into this role, and UPL's not. Like, show me evidence that UPL should be on this team over him. Other than the January stretch, there's none. Comrie did what he did with Winnipeg, and you can say that was a small sample size. It was a friggin' good small sample size, and he's got a way stronger track record in the AHL. I know we went over this on a pod. We were going through his years in the AHL, and every single one of them was an above 900 season. And UPL, I think his only above 900 season was like this year in 8 games before getting called up. It was something like that. The guy has not been a dominant goalie since his season in Sudbury.
And I think something that at least I can say I'd rely on Comrie more is if, let's just say Comrie did have some rough games. He's more of a veteran, and he's got the most positive attitude I've ever seen out of anybody. Where UPL, on the other hand, like I think his confidence went down at the end of last year because they brought in Levi and it was a 3 tandem. So he probably wasn't too confident. I think UPL could lose his confidence pretty quickly, especially, with the fan base is going to be ragging on him, where Comrie, like, I don't think would be affected by it.
UPL locker room cancer confirmed.
Not a locker room cancer. He's just
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, where's he going with this?
I'm just saying.
What is he cooking?
He'd be less confident in himself.
No, yeah, I get what
He's
you're
a young
saying.
kid, and more than half the fan base already doesn't like him. Like, it's tough.
Well, when you let in a big old meatball anytime you play, I mean, it's kind of tough to love a guy. I mean, I see some people on Twitter who back him up religiously, but I just can't. In my any state of my mind, it's just I can't keep making excuses for this guy. There's only so many you can make. We've been waiting for, before we got Levi and before we went through the second rebuild, we were looking at him like, oh man, once UPL is ready, this team's primed. We're ready to go. We have all these guys lined up. We're ready to make a deep run. I mean, obviously we didn't see what was going to happen with the COVID year, with the Taylor Hall season debacle that went on, and obviously UPL wasn't around for all of it, but still, it's like at this point, it's like you're 24 years old. Like, the prime of a goalie, it's now. It's now in the next couple of years, and if you don't show us like really, really soon that you could steal games consistently, like,
it's not even
send him through waivers.
It's not even a prime. It's just progress. Really?
Yeah, he's stalled out. He's stalled out. He has not shown consistent growth since he had that great season in Sudbury. I know he had a good season with the Amherst. I don't know if it was a couple years ago. I remember seeing his save percentage fluctuated so bad season to season. It would be like .896, and then it'd be .905.
He would just have these stretches. Like, he'd be insanely hot or insanely cold, which is what we saw.
It's like Victor Olofsson.
All right.
And I don't like Victor Olofsson.
Well, Get used to it. He's lining up to be their opening night right winger too.
You also don't like Ken Dorsey, and he just dropped 48 points as
Ken
the OC.
Dorsey cooked. He
did.
Absolutely
Thank
cooked.
you, Jameson.
He cooked. But before that, questionable.
Before that, he lit the kitchen on
He's
fire.
1 for 4.
Okay, so if you had to guess right now who is making this team, is it Eric Comrie or is it Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen?
I say if they have to go with two guys, it's going to be Devin Levi and Eric Comrie.
I still think they're going to do UPL. And I hate it.
He does have a point.
Like, even Eric Johnson came onto the team looking forward to the two young goalies. Like, I think about that too.
They got to do what
It pains me.
They're at this, but they're at the stage where it's inexcusable. Like Eric Comrie, if he's the better goalie, like he's the better goalie. Like, what are you trying to do here? UPL's not your guy. You don't need him to be good for this ship to work out. You don't need it. So if you don't need it, how about you go and sign? You play the guy that you signed in free agency to be your starter last year. I mean, you brought him in to be that. He's not some Anderson at the end of his career looking for just a job. Like, this guy's 28 years old, and he could still be something. He could still be a very a decent goalie in the league.
Serviceable backup. And he could, for a bad team. I mean, right now he could be a starting goalie.
He still hasn't gotten a fair shot. I mean, look at Eric Comrie's season last year, okay? Starts the season red hot. Steals the Sabres 2 games in Alberta. Okay, comes back. The team starts to flail out with that 8-game losing streak. His performance starts to go down. Boom. He gets injured. UPL gets called up. UPL starts stealing games. The team gets hot. They can't justify UPL getting sent down, which makes sense. Okay. Remember, we wanted UPL to stay up because he was stealing them games. Eric Comrie has his conditioning stint in Rochester, does well, comes back up. The 3-man rotation starts.
Mm-hmm.
He never gets back into his regular groove. And frankly, if I were to defend UPL, because UPL started to have a few bad starts, and then the 3-man rotation was in full swing where no guy was getting a starter's load. And that included Eric Comrie. And then the goaltending was all over the place. Comrie has the game against Dallas, comes back.
The picture of him on his back in the crease.
Comes back against the Islanders, shuts them out, but only ends up getting, one more start against Montreal, and that was to close the year. And that was his last game of the year. And then Devin Levi comes in. By the end of the year, you have 4 goalies in the crease. Anderson wasn't playing, but he played the end of the season. Comrie never got a fair shake after November. So, if you look at Comrie's career, which has just been going from one team to another over and over again, not being able to get a fair shake, he hasn't gotten that fair chance yet. And, this could be it. If he's with a rookie goaltender, an unproven goaltender, if this rookie goaltender is not, literally all the statistics say that this should not work out for Devin Levi. Only Carter Hart and Carey Price have done what he's going to try to do this year. If Levi comes out of the gate slow or looks kind of overmatched at points, boom, Eric Comrie is your safety net. And I know for the fans that's not the most reassuring thing, but for him, this is the chance he's been looking for. And they signed him to be a starter, at least last year. So if he's the better goalie this preseason, which he has been, play him. Play him.
No
he
more
looked,
excuses for
He
UPL,
looked very good against Washington, and he played great against Pittsburgh. Play the better goalie. Do not do this to yourself. The time for development over winning is done. Okay, that ended last year.
For goaltenders.
Well, goaltenders or anybody. I
think for the team too, it's kind of that window's closing. I think this development era it's kind of over.
And this applies to Zach Benson because time is now. Okay, you're trying to win. If the guy is ready, play him. And if Benson, if opening night comes and Zach Benson for his first 9 games where he's facing full NHL lineups, he looks overmatched, send him down.
Yeah.
Okay, but if he's ready right now, and my God, he looks at least ready for the NHL. I'm not saying ready for a breakout season. I'm not saying he's going to do what Wyatt Johnston did last year, where he had like a 40-point season as an 18-year-old. I'm not saying that, but if he looks ready, play him.
You got 9 games to play with.
You're trying to make the playoffs here.
Yeah.
You're trying. Like, that is the goal in this locker room. The window is open. The general manager said the window is open. And that window does not open if you're still trying to justify playing a goaltender for the sake of development. Play the better goalie. You have to. You can't do this thing where you're going to have 2 young guys that are possibly neither of them can take that full NHL schedule yet. And with Levi, like I said, you don't know what you're going to get with him, what he can do. He's an NCAA goalie. He's never played more than 35 games in a season, and he's not on the NHL schedule yet. It's going to be a learning curve. So play at least, I mean, you can call Eric Comrie a veteran. Play him. If he's the better goalie, put him on this roster. I rest my case.
Very good
If
rant,
they
Jonah.
start with 3 goalies, I will be mightily upset. Very, very upset.
I think it's just that it could be that fear of making a mistake, just sending the wrong guy down, or trying to, again, what Jonah said, justify someone for development reasons. It's like, yeah, that was fine when this team was 32nd in the league. It's like, yeah, we'll play him. Like, we'll play him over the veteran guys. He needs his NHL reps. Now we're at a point, we missed the playoffs by 1 point last year. We're at a point where the next step is in the playoffs. One more point. Next step is to get to the playoffs. And, yeah, you don't justify that by playing a goalie for the purposes of development, and you don't justify that by seeing a player who looks like they have that X factor where they're ready to play now, and you just send him down to let him marinate in Rochester because it's like, oh, he needs his AHL reps. What do you mean he needs, like, yeah, he needs his AHL reps, but let's see what he could do first. Give him 4, 5, 6 games, and then send him down. And you know what? If he does very well, call him up for another 2. And then if he's ready, keep him on the roster the rest of the year. You could send guys up and down. It's just, I understand playing it safe, and it's been the right move for this organization because we've been burned so many times with hasty decisions and crazy trades and all this stuff, but it's time to jumpstart the car a little bit.
I think we just spent 20 minutes talking about a backup goalie, so
I mean, hey, perks of, I guess, being your roster is pretty much set. That's the stuff you focus on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big focal point because it could come back to bite them, I was watching, there's this, I'll have to send it out on Twitter or something because it's a really good video, and it's a video about the 05-06 Sabres and how it was like a 35-minute essay on them, and, Ryan Miller won the job for Marty Biron in camp. Because I didn't know this, but Marty Biron took off the season for the lockout. Like, he didn't play that entire year. But he was going through the season, and Miller started the season strong. Ruff played him 9 of the first 10 games. But he started to fade. He actually went back down to Rochester for a few games. And then Marty Biron was kind of there to pick up while he was recuperating. Miller eventually came back up. The rest is history. We know what happened from there. But that's what can kind of happen here. If Levi needs like kind of a resting period almost to just recuperate, you got to have the right guy there to do it. So we're going to see where this takes us. There's 2 games left in the preseason. If it were up to me, Levi's done.
mm-hmm.
Give 1 game to Comrie. Give 1 game to UPL. See where it goes. And I would give, because, they gave Comrie the hard task of the Pittsburgh lineup. I would give UPL the Pittsburgh lineup when I guess they're going to be in Columbus, so I'm guessing they'll see more NHLers there. Though I guess this late in the preseason, teams are cutting down rosters. I guess I would give Luukkonen Pittsburgh, give Comrie Columbus, and you know what? Whoever plays better, it's their job. Just give the job to the better goalie. So that's where I'm at right now. I guess we didn't even get to the Columbus game, which is like probably the most exciting game.
Yeah.
Sabres come back down from 3-0 versus the Blue Jackets. Skinner buries 2. Yoki Haru scores his second of the preseason, 2 games in a row from him. and Zach Benson pots the game winner. So the Sabres take that one, and just more of the Zach Benson show, I guess. He just looked good.
We already said whatever needed to be said. Like, give him his games.
I agree. I think he should make it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any reason why he shouldn't.
Also, Ryan Johnson has been fantastic this preseason.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Columbus
he had
game,
that one game where he looked a little outmatched, but
which I feel bad because it's like everybody saw it, so like it almost makes it seem like he was having such a good preseason and he just had one stinker. So it's kind of like, you're gonna weigh that one more against him, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what, he was going down the AHL. Like I saw some people saying, like, will they keep him up? Like, there's no room for him right now. So he needs to keep developing in the AHL, and if we have some injuries, he's the first guy.
Yeah,
out.
he's the first guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he kind of slots into that little rant we were going on there, but everybody's playing good. I think Stillman has looked fantastic this preseason, honestly. I thought he's looked great.
I agree. He's been physical. He's been looking good.
And
he had that one. He almost had a nasty goal.
I know. He had like a backhand toe drag.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're obviously, Yoki Haru's got 2 goals. You're not going to play him over him. Eric Johnson.
JP is seething right now.
You're not going to scratch Eric Johnson. So, literally no room for Johnson because there's actually people playing well on the back end in front of him. So
give it 5 games. Let's see where Yoki Haru's at. No, I'm just joking. I just said what JP was thinking.
He's looked decent.
No, I know that pained you to say that.
It does pain me. I mean, if he didn't have 2 goals, would I have said that? Probably not. Let's be real here. But he's got 2 goals.
You know what? He takes so many point snapshots because power just feeds him. So clearly he's been working on that this offseason.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the look on your face when Olofsson has 50 goals this season.
It just won't happen.
Write that down.
Someone get a pen and a paper.
So that wraps up where we're at with the preseason. Like we said, 2 more games to go. In Columbus on Wednesday, home against the Penguins on Friday, and then opening night is the following Thursday.
Before we move on, I don't know if you want to move this, but I have another takeaway. I noticed that, we on the Sabre Report now have always said we do not like Skinner on the power play, right? He has 3 power play goals. And
however, in a different spot.
I was just going to say that. He's on opposite side of Tage Thompson. And I actually find it really interesting because if you think about our power play last year, like obviously it was very consistent. It really relied off of Tage 1Ts and Olofsson 1Ts, but we never found someone that was really consistent opposite of Tage. Cousins slotted in there. He was all right.
Quinn was there for a really short time.
Yeah, I was going to say Quinn had a few games. Obviously, Olofsson was there, but Olofsson can't move the puck. Skinner's, these kind of look good there. Like, he's had his chances, and I think he's creative enough on the side where no one else really has been. And I think it might be something that they move into the season with.
I think – go ahead. You can finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say, and the other thing I found really interesting, and once again, it's the preseason, but the second power play unit against Columbus had Cousins and Tuck. Tuck wasn't even on the top one. Once again, I know it's preseason, but they might be trying to divide up their power a little more because even like Tuck being on second power play really surprised me, but I think it makes sense almost.
Well, Kyle Poso did go for the between the legs there.
Yeah, I know.
Which did lead to the game-winning goal.
So, yeah, but those are 2 things. I just found that interesting with the power play.
I think it's putting Skinner there, I thought it was more of a preseason thing, but they've kept him there for the preseason as it's gone on. So I do think it's interesting. Like we said, I don't like him in front of the net, and I don't like him in the bumper because he just roams too much. So I guess the only place left to put, he's not going to quarterback a power play. The only place to put him is on the wall, so you might as well see what you got there. I think
we'll see a lot of random slap shots.
I was gonna, that, and I was also gonna say like Skinner's playmaking has improved so much as he's evolved, especially as a Sabre. But his playmaking, it's like him he's an elite playmaker, but in a much different sense than like Zach Benson is. Skinner, like, he threads the seam in like he dots up passes in through like impossible lanes. Like he tries to force it through, and it works because he can place a puck in a spot. And so I'm interested to see how that works on the power play if he can be more structured, because you want your power play to be more structured, looking for simple passes that open up lanes instead of Skinner maybe trying to do this just finagling to get the puck over to Tasia on the other side or something like that. So it is something I'm interested to see if Granato wants to keep him there. I would imagine Alex Tuck finds his way back on the first unit. It would be something if they kept Okposo there. But you know what? I like Okposo on the power play. He's a smart player. It's like he knows what to do. So yeah. But the other thing I did want to mention with the power play is my prayers have been answered. They are finally using the bumper, and it's working. It is working. Their power play units have been dying for a bumper. And Krebs was there in the Washington game, and then Benson has slotted in there since the Boston game. And it's working. They're actually, like, they're forcing passes to them, and it's working. It's opening up lanes. That Skinner goal against Boston is a perfect example. Tage and Benson are just passing the puck back and forth. Benson finds a soft area in the middle of the ice. Thompson gets it over to him. The defender from Skinner's side closes in. Benson just easily dishes it across, and Skinner just fires a wicked one-timer into the back of the net. It's that simple. It's what they've been missing. They've been neglecting the middle of the ice for, I guess, ever since Granato's taken over.
They're a perimeter team on the power play.
Yes, and we've said this before. It works because they have
when you have Tage Thompson,
they have Tage Thompson and
100 miles an hour.
Victor Olofsson, and Dylan Cousins has a great shot, and Dahlin has a bomb. Like, you can get away with it because you have that elite shooting talent. But man, imagine if your passes were coming from the middle of the ice, or you're getting more central shots. It's what they need more of, and I'm very happy to see. It looks like they are telling them, like, look for the middle of the ice. And there have been some really good sequences where they've gotten that bumper guy involved, and it's worked. And Skinner's second goal against Columbus, they try to force it to the middle of the ice. It's not a crisp pass, but Benson, very nice tip pass to Skinner. He buries his second. And then same thing, the power play later, they get it to Kyle Okposo. He tries to turn back time and go through the legs. Shot rebound. Benson comes in from the bumper, taps it in, game-winning goal. I have been dying to see that. And honestly, I love that they put Benson there because that's the type of player they've needed there to help open up lanes. Especially, like, he's just a smart player. He'll know where to find the soft spots and get open. So, very positive storyline there. I hope to God that carries through within the season. And if Benson does go down eventually, I hope keep Skinner out of that spot. Please, it's not for him. Unless they can get him to calm down, put Cousins there, or put Peyton Krebs there, whomever. But the power play, so far, I've really liked what I've seen.
I think kind of leading into our next talk, the one thing I want to point out is how a lot of us were really, encouraged on maybe Kulik making a roster spot, and Roseanne had such a good prospects challenge, but they just haven't.
Kulik's had a rough camp, I think.
Yeah,
he's been struggling. They've been bouncing him around, actually. Mm-hmm. Like, he's been on the wing and at center. And you know what? Look, he's 20 years old. It's not the end of the world. He's just, so far, he doesn't look ready. He's got to catch up. Now he knows what to work on. He's really struggled to impact play other than on the power play. Like, he's come close to burying a few. It's just anytime he has come close, it's on the man advantage.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing with Roseanne. I remember he looked pretty good against Pittsburgh. But same thing with him. He hasn't really been a force out there that you wanted to see.
Yeah, they just need to cook a little more. I just think it's crazy that 18-year-old Benson is really outplaying our other top 2 prospects that kind of had a chance. And I am interested. Have we heard anything about Savoy? I
think
Still
he's
week to week.
I think he's been skating on his own. Like they said, it was probably towards the end of training camp, so I'm guessing we'll see him within the next week, probably, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think he can give a dirty look at Zach Benson, because I'm pretty sure Benson, any hope that Savoy has of making this roster, Benson's kind of put in his he's kind of gone in his way.
Yeah.
It's good. It would be
Kinda
crazy if
leapfrogged a bit.
Benson's gonna get NHL games before Savoy.
I could see
Wouldn't
it.
have expected that. Not this quick,
Yeah.
but I would agree. Kulik, Roseanne definitely struggled a little bit. Not worried. They should be. They'll be back. They'll be back. But definitely we want more from them than what we've seen. So no, I think that basically wraps up the preseason.
So the question is, with all these cuts going on, who's going to come out when we sign Patrick Kane?
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Mm.
Because some people are saying we're going to sign him to a 6x6. Rumor has it.
Rumor has
Some
it.
people.
Is that your dad?
Rumor. No, it's not my dad. My dad would like him on the team, but I know
Shocker.
he'd definitely know better than
Shocker.
to sign him to a 6x6.
I think if you polled Sabres fans above the age of 40, it would be 100%
I already
to
made
signing
my
Patrick Kane.
I already made my case for this last episode. I don't need to
Is this going to be a weekly thing? Are we just going to hear about this every week?
Like it's just that talks are picking up more. Like now who was it? Dreger said that the Sabres are quote
Yeah.
tremendously interested in
so
Patrick Kane.
Darren Dreger goes on Sabres Live, says that the Sabres have tremendous interest in one Patrick Kane, and that Kevin Adams has definitely had a conversation with Pat Brisson, his agent. So it was actually our tweet that kind of
Blew up a little bit.
blew up. We were kind of the first to jump on that. Credit to JP for getting that over to us. But yeah, we kind of sent Sabres Twitter in a little frenzy. 'Cause yeah, that's some strong words from Darren Dreger. Tremendous interest.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to the quote, if you listen to the clip, he says it very confidently.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not surprising. We already covered all this stuff last episode. He's from Buffalo, blah, 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 whatever, hometown kid coming home. But, like, I just don't. I've seen the stats of players who've come back from similar industries, Nicholas Backstrom being one of them. It's just they're not even close to the same player anymore. And
there's been 3 players.
it's better off not.
There's been 3 players. There's been 3 players to get it and try to come back. And I say try to come back because one of those players was Ryan Kessler, who got it and never came back. And Nick Backstrom came from it this past season, was not very good. Ed Jovanowski, he got it, played 1 more season, retired. There is not a good precedent for Patrick Kane. And like Christian said, we touched on this a decent amount last week, and I don't want this to turn into like an Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Bills situation where we're just talking about this over and over and over. And you know why it's also the perfect comparison? Because wouldn't it be so funny if like he didn't even like play this season? Because there's really no
Quite
guarantee.
possible.
There's no guarantee. This could drag out till February or March.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that frustrates me the most about when I see people who, are talking in favor of Kane is they're like, he's a lot of hockey to play still. Like, he's still got a lot of good hockey in him. If you just watched him the past year or two, he doesn't.
Does he really? No, he doesn't.
Like,
what is he? He's 35?
35 years old, coming off of hip surgery. A surgery that has ended careers, as we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I just, like, if he was healthy, if he was getting a different surgery, like if he got, like, I don't know, if he, like, broke
collarbone surgery?
I don't know about collarbone. If he broke his wrist.
Neck surgery, that's what I meant. Neck surgery. Jack Eichel neck surgery.
Neck surgery.
That's what I meant.
Neck surgery.
Disc fusion surgery.
If he got a rib removed.
Yeah, that too.
But if he, like, broke his wrist or something, and, pretty minor injury, pretty easy to come back from compared to hip resurfacing, that's one thing where you can basically be like, all right, you can look at his past seasons, which are already convoluted in discourse about whether or not he's actually effective anymore. But he's getting this major surgery now, and I know his PR team is trying to put out videos of him training to gas him up, but I'm not buying it. And
not yet, no.
And maybe he will come back and he'll see something of a resurgence. But like I said this last week, I don't want to be the team that has to figure that out.
Imagine he comes back and he cooks. Like 2015 Patrick Kane is back. And everybody has to eat their words.
I would admit I'm wrong.
I'd
be admit I'm wrong.
So would I.
I would admit. I'd be the first one to admit.
I'd be happy too.
I'd be the first one to admit that I'm wrong. But until that happens, I'm gonna put my stake in the ground. I don't think it would be a good move. I honest to God think it would. It's not what the team needs either. You know, this team doesn't need more scoring.
No, this team needs defense.
All right, well, let's start to close this thing down. Let's hop around the NHL a little bit. So, something that we missed last week, Steven Stamkos, heading into his last year on that current deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning, which it's already crazy that contract is coming to a close.
I remember when that contract was signed, when we signed Oposo, same time.
Yeah. Well, that was that crazy, that Stamkos, that was that crazy. Remember it was like an hour where he signed, it was PK Subban for Shea Weber, Hall for Larson, and then he stays in Tampa. Yeah. And it all happened within like an hour. That crazy day.
Big hour in hockey history.
Yes. So Stamkos is heading into his last season as a Lightning. However, there's been no extension talks, and Stamkos has vocally stated how he's not very happy with that and how he wished there had been something, at least some sort of traction so far, and there's been nothing. And Tampa Bay GM Julian Breezeball came forward and said that, you know, it has to make sense for both sides and that they're not just going to hand him this long-term deal, because at the end of the day, Stamkos is 33 years old. So it's going to be interesting to see Stamkos fighting for a contract this season. Yeah. If sticking with the Tampa Bay Lightning, we did mention this earlier, but Andrei Vasilevsky out 8 to 10 weeks with back surgery.
I swear to God, when NHL reported on that, or whenever I got the ESPN notification, it said 8 to 10 months. I was like, he's done for the year. But I guess, 8 to 10 weeks. So that seems a little short for back surgery. Like, that's a major surgery. I mean, I don't know.
2 months. I can't say I looked into the details of the surgery itself, but Jonas Johansson, welcome to
your worst nightmare, buddy.
It's going to be like a Brian Elliott situation where he just dominates us in every divisional matchup.
I hope not.
This is good for us for the playoff picture.
It is.
It does shuffle it around a little bit.
I wonder how much our playoff percentage went up just with that news. Had to have been a couple points.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's head over to the West and catch up with an old Sabre. Marcus Foligno re-signs in Minnesota, 4 years, $4 million. At 32 years old.
I was about to say, I mean, I love Marcus Foligno, but it seems like a little bit of an overpayment for a guy on the downswing.
That's a lot of term.
Yeah. It is a lot of term, and not only that, it's like his advanced stats don't look favorable for the next few years.
He had a fantastic year 2 years ago. This year he was not too good.
No. And it seems like it's just on a downslope.
So yeah,
maybe he bounces back.
Yeah, hopefully this is not the age curve, but 32 years old, physical player.
He's a culture guy.
Doesn't usually mesh well. And sticking with the Minnesota Wild, Matt Zuccarello stays for another 2 years, $4.5 million. I think he's 36 years old.
All these guys are so old. It's weird.
Minnesota, man, just never have the higher end talent, you know.
Perpetually mid all the time.
Close, but
never
close enough.
Never getting over the hump.
Never close enough. Never close enough. All right, now for the fun one. Over to our friends in Ottawa. We actually have some breaking news on this, because I mean, frankly, this initial news with Shane Pinto came out first, but I think we should focus on the two right-handed defensemen in question. So Lassie Thompson, who was drafted by the Senators in the 2019 first round, put on waivers 2 nights ago. and yesterday morning was claimed by the Anaheim Ducks.
Dude, that's like
first round-
Ryan Johnson.
a
That's
first-
like you put Ryan Johnson on waivers and he gets claimed. What are you doing?
First
Round pick.
First round pick. Right-handed defenseman, too. Right hand. You're telling me you couldn't have gotten anything for him? Anything.
Summer of Pierre. You just put him on when he's like, nah, I don't need this guy. Or he was probably thinking, maybe I could just sneak him through.
Well, I saw something on Twitter. He played 20 because they played a game that night, and then they announced their roster cuts. He played 27 minutes that night. They were like giving him a big role, and then bam, Pierre Dorian sends him down on waivers. Of course, he's gonna get claimed. Who in their right mind would not claim?
Wasn't it the first team? Or it was Anaheim.
Yeah, Anaheim's
So
It was the first
Anaheim
team,
is
yeah.
first in the waiver order. He did. Pierre was like, maybe I'll sneak it past everybody.
First
The
team,
first team jumps on it.
Give it to me. No, yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, maybe it was like they were giving him so many minutes because Pierre was like, maybe I can facilitate a trade somehow because I know I'm gonna have to send one of these guys down. So, maybe I could boost his numbers a little bit, and it just probably didn't happen. Nothing materialized, and he was just like, maybe I could sneak him through. First out of the 32 teams. Yeah, we're gonna take him. Come on, you're coming to the West Coast.
Pierre's like, damn it, I thought I had that.
Damn, it's so close.
So that's just the start of it. And, before we even press record tonight, they doubled down on it. Jacob Bernard Docker, who was a 2018 first-round pick for the Senators, also playing a pretty decently big role, he gets sent down on waivers now. So 2 right-handed defensemen drafted in the first round, 2 days apart, both get put on waivers.
It's great asset management.
What is he cooking?
Well, what is Pierre doing? We make fun of Pierre and the Sens a lot, and it's more of like, we do it for fun. But Pierre Dorian has a lot of high highs. Like, he'll do stuff. He'll just pull something out of nowhere. I think that the Jacob Chikrin and Alex DeBrincat trades, like the DeBrincat trade to get him to Ottawa, like those are flawed trades. Gave up a lot of assets, but he got those players on his team. Like when his highs are high, he signed Giroux to a very sweetheart deal, Stützle contract. He has high highs, but man, the lows are low. Like that is wow. I mean, 2 first-round right-handed defensemen. Their ceilings aren't super high.
But it's still guys you probably want around.
They're probably NHL players.
Yeah.
And to not even, I guess, scour the market. He just did it. And, maybe Bernard Docker gets through waivers. I got, from everything from the consensus I've kind of seen online, he's kind of seen as the better defenseman to Thompson. That's why Thompson got sent down.
Well, if only Tim Stützle took $4 million less, maybe they'd be able to sign Shane Pinto right now. What the hell's going on over there?
Selfish.
Well,
And
they offered him a 1-by-1, and he declined.
yes, but
That's just like a slap in the face at that point. If I was Shane
insane.
Pinto, I'd be like, "Now I'm really not doing
one
this.
times
1-by-1.
1-by-1.
That's insane.
We'll give you $1 million for a year."
Like,
really?
this is like these contract negotiations have been going on for 3-4 months now, and we're a week from opening night, and he's still not budging.
He's an
and
RFA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Elliot Friedman came out today, and he said, everybody thinks how this is going to end is, the Senators are going to clear cap. They'll trade Matthew Joseph, and they'll have $3 million in cap space. They'll sign Shane Pinto for 2.5. Everybody goes home happy. He said he's still not confident that happens because they think 2.5 might be too much for this guy. What are you doing? Hit 20 goals last year. He's
Might be too low, you mean?
No, they don't like him.
They
the
think-
Senators don't
they
like
think
him.
2.5 is too much to give him?
They think that's too much.
I was just going to say, before all of this drama has happened, if you asked me who Shane Pinto was, I would have said I have no freaking clue. But I'm just looking at him right now. He's 22 years old, had 35 points last year and 20 goals. And they're trying to give him $1 million for 1 year?
After
After
having a
You're
habit,
burning his RFA status.
after having a habit of handing out huge deals to guys that have been there short term. Josh Norris got his 7 by 7.9 contract after 1 year of top line production.
You talk about a bridge deal of all bridge deals. A 1-by-1. That's That's something else. He's
insulting.
not arbitration eligible, is he?
I don't think not yet. No, because he would have
Well,
gone. He would have gone straight to arbitration.
No, well, I mean, even then, he's not 10-2, right? He can't be offer sheeted.
I don't. No,
he
because
can't.
dude,
Him and
could you imagine?
Drysdale
That's
can't
like
be.
the easy because you don't.
Easiest offer sheet of all time.
I don't even think there's compensation for that.
No.
Like over I think it starts at like $2 million. I mean, I could be wrong, but even then, $2 million. What's that? A third at most, maybe.
Yeah.
Like that would be such an easy offer.
Easy
sheet.
offer sheet for any team looking. It's like, I mean, if the Ducks just want to double down now, they could just poach another guy from the Senators. But yeah, I mean, that's so stupid though. Like, you're burning his RFA status too. Not only that, you offer him a 1-by-1. He's obviously not going to take that. Whatever you give him now, he's still going to think back. He's going to be like, this is the team that offered me a 1-by-1. If you offer him another 1-year contract, and let's say you give him what he wants at $3 million, I will get a tattoo on my forehead if that dude re-signs in Ottawa as a UFA. There's no way. No way.
And I think the funniest part is that this is all. My guess is this is connected to the Bernard Docker and Lassie Thompson sending them down. They're trying to clear cap. And I should also mention that Igor Sokolov, who was a 2020 second-round pick, also got put on waivers. So there could be a first, second taken from your organization, and just like that in 2 days. 2 days.
Summer
And
of Pierre.
I also want to bring this up. Travis Hamonic was re-signed this past offseason, and so was Zach McEwen, noted fourth-line enforcer, for I think a combined sum of $2 million. So if you hadn't signed those two, there's a scenario where you could have those two are not Senators. You have Sokolov and one of Thompson or Bernard Docker on the roster, and you have Shane Pinto signed.
Summer of Pierre, man.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Seriously, what a mess.
I don't know. It'll work itself out. It's not going to be pretty, but it'll work itself out. Something will be done by opening night. It's got to be. Same thing with Drysdale's not signed yet.
Well,
right?
I think that this conversation of not paying someone what they're worth, we can jump right over to the Anaheim Ducks. They finally paid Trevor Zegras 3 years for $5.75 million. Why did it take 3 months to get to this point?
After saying he was only worth $3 to $4 million, I'm like, this is the face of your franchise.
You could have done this 3.5 months ago. Instead, you dragged this out over summer, and you've probably caused irreparable damage to this relationship.
You burned a bridge there, yeah.
Like 3.5.75. If you would have told me at the beginning of the summer that's what he gets, I would have been like, yeah, that's fair.
For a team who's got the most cap in the entire league, too. And you got Jamie Drysdale just sitting there like, hey, I still need a contract. Season starts in a week. You going to try and sign me?
Yeah.
You have the most cap in the league. What are you doing? Sign your guys.
I mean, how much could, because, I mean, Zegras, $5 million, yeah, that's reasonable. But, what is Drysdale asking for? It can't be any more than, $3-4 million.
I was going to say 3.5.
And it's probably, I'm guessing that they wouldn't give him 2 years, or, pardon me, they're not going to give him the Zegras 3 years.
This is the thing, though, man. This is a slippery slope. We've been through it before with these bridge deals. It's like you start to break this relationship down between front office and player. We saw it with Sam Reinhart. You lose their RFA status. You sign them to well under what they're worth. That you misutilize them in the lineup. It's a slippery slope, and that's why the bridge deal it's kind of going out. You don't see it as much anymore. Now it's more you think you got the guy, you sign him to the 8 years. And, well, hopefully another guy on our team is signed to 8 years soon. But
3 RFAs
Yeah.
remain in the NHL: Shane Pinto, Jamie Drysdale, and Tim Burney. I don't know who Tim Burney is.
King,
But good for him.
get your bag.
Go and get your bag, man. Good for you. Go and rob the Blue Jackets. So Pinto and Drysdale, those are the 2 last dominoes waiting to fall. So
Well,
yeah, another funny thing about the Senators is they have Josh Bailey on a professional tryout right now.
Oh my God!
They might be
sign
trying
him.
to sign him too. Could you what if that's it? They don't think Pinto's worth 2.5 because they want another $800K to sign Josh Bailey.
So if they don't tender him a contract, I'm talking about Shane Pinto. If they don't tender him a contract, how does that RFA status work? Does he go immediately to UFA?
No, he's still an RFA. I don't know how many RFA years he has left, but he stays an RFA, and if he's not signed by December 1st, I don't think he can play this entire season.
Really?
Yeah, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pierre's really... He's really pushing the envelope here.
Mm-hmm. You better hurry up.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's
Senators,
hope it works out for him.
Senators just got a new president of hockey ops, Steve Stais, so that might be the guy to fire him in a few weeks.
Could be.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine if Ottawa comes out of the gate slow. He keeps his job. He's been there for 6 years. No playoffs. Hey, man, DJ Smith. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps this one up.
Yep.
Sounds
Still no
about
more
right.
Darlene news.
No, yeah.
No. I was
Literally
that's what I was
nothing.
hinting at.
Yeah,
It's
not anything. It's got to be. It can't be anything big. Like, I still don't believe that Peters rumor. I mean,
I'm just gonna forget about it. If I forget about it, then it'll happen.
I was looking at the Sabre schedule. Their last game is Friday against Pittsburgh, and there's that means there's like a nice 5-day layoff until opening night. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's in that period.
Yeah.
I think we said it before. I think Samuelson and Granato were like a day or two before opening night.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully that gets finished up. That'd be nice. Sick of waiting for that too.
Yep.
So that'll pretty much do it for this episode of the Sabre Roundtable. Probably have one more episode before, maybe two. Maybe we'll try to stretch. Maybe we'll do like a divisional preview one episode, then do our classic hot takes before the season.
They're gonna be great.
Or we'll just all pack it into one episode. Who knows? So expect to hear us before next Thursday, opening night. It's so close. I'm so excited. I still haven't been to KeyBank Center yet. I know JP's been. He was there for the game.
Oh yeah. Do we want to talk about that quick?
Go. The floor is yours. Before we close up.
I did notice some actual new things at KeyBank Center. It wasn't anything major.
We tweeted out some of this stuff if you guys want to head to our page.
Yeah, I completely forgot about this, but our tickets are 113, so it's
right outside the Odd Club is right outside.
yeah.
From where
So
we are.
granted, I literally only walked to my seats and back, but on my way to the seats, I saw a cotton candy machine, which is pretty cool. A ton of people were around it. A walk-through taco place, which smelled really good. I'm sure that's not going to be best for their plumbing, but
This is true.
yeah, there's a barbecue place that was really good, and people were commenting that said it was actually very good. There's also a sausage place, I guess that looked new. They made some of the vendor lines quicker by making it more grab your food instead of just waiting there. I'm not sure if I'm going crazy with this, but I think the smaller Sabres store, on basically the first floor of the arena was, upgraded a little. Like there's like
You mean right up the escalators?
Yeah. Like there is an overhang now up there, and I think they added some more things.
Did they give Sabretooth his house back?
Still no house, but there's just some minor things. I have no idea if this is true, but who I was there with, they noticed that they think like the sound barriers or whatever they have on the ceiling look new. I don't know. That could.
I mean, we know that's coming at some point.
Yeah.
I guess I'd be surprised if they were doing that already. But who knows?
But there has been some minor additions, and it's nice.
That's all you can ask for, really.
Yeah,
if you see something, if it's a little something each year, and you even, we know the big ones are coming. So
yeah,
it's good to see.
It was nice to see.
It's
Some
good
new
to
stuff.
see. Good to see some changes. So looking forward to seeing that next Thursday because I will be there, and I think JP will be as well. We'll see. Because we also do we want to say it now? You might be leaving us in a few episodes.
Yeah, realistically, I'll probably be here next week, and probably after the first opening game, since I'll be going. But after that, I'm gonna be taking a little leave of absence. Unfortunately,
JP is neck deep into his CPA studying.
Yeah. It's not. It sucks.
Back down to the original OG podcast.
That's right. Back to
Two-man
the
show
back
now.
to the way it started and the way it should have
The way
been.
it's
Me and
supposed
Christian
to be.
doing it.
That's right.
So yes. So for anybody who's been here since the beginning, who knows that me and Christian kind of spearheaded this
got
podcast.
us on Spittin' Chicklets.
Stop
I gotta
it.
shout it out.
Stop it.
That was me.
Stop it.
That was me. It's just how it is. You guys would be losing something.
What would we do without him?
Losing your crappy Bills
It's
takes.
casual
will be
takes.
Losing.
All right. Well, that'll wrap this one up. So if you guys want to follow us on Twitter, follow us at the Sabre Report. Also on Instagram at the Sabre Report. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. Stay tuned for some upcoming blogs before this season. Christian is finally going to be
I
writing.
will be writing a blog, and you
Supposedly.
can mark my words. It
Two.
will be done.
2 maybe because
Possibly 2.
I do have an idea where the 3 of us can all kind of work together on one previewing the season. So
Keep an eye out for that.
stay tuned for that. And before I forget, for the pod, follow us at Sabre Report Pod. And hey, I did want to mention this. Feel free to write us a review. You know, we've been going for over a year now. Would love to hear some feedback every now and then. We got a lot. I've seen some 5-star ratings on Spotify, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It could just
Might
be
only be us.
could just be family members juicing the numbers, creating burner accounts. But feel free to leave a review. Let us know what you think about the show.
If you hate it, you can let us know
Yeah.
too.
Please,
Does
we
not
don't
hurt.
any cream.
Q&As might be coming back soon.
Yeah, we'll probably send out do a Q&A next episode or one of the two. So exciting. So with that, we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.